Okay, we're live. It is September 12th, 2025. We are going to open today's Coffee and Politics with a prayer in regards to Charlie Kirk. And Ray, if you would start that off for us, sir.
Thank you. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Dear God, we meet today very grateful that we have a chance to continue your work, but also with great sorrow, a great warrior of truth that you have seen fit to take from us and to glorify yourself with. Please be with us as we continue his work. A great voice has truly been silenced. That means all the rest of us must speak that much louder in his absence. In your Son's name we pray. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Thank you, Ray. It has been a very difficult 2 days. They did find the suspect and arrested him, and he's in custody. And there was a press release about that earlier, or the press conference about that earlier today. I don't think we're going to be naming his name, as kind of some people don't want to do. But yeah, but yes, I would be hit in the head if I did say his name. But it will be very interesting to see who this person is, what his reasoning was, what the background is. We hear a lot of things. A lot of things are you don't really know what's true, but we do seem to be getting, quite frankly, very timely and direct information. We watch, Rad and Steve Bannon and the channel that Charlie Kirk was on from noon to 2 every day. And we seem to be getting a lot of good information out of there, timely, which has kind of been interesting because I think their connections with the administration and all of that type of stuff. So we'll talk about, what happened. I think it is, as Ray said, a loss of something that's been very important to us in our movement. I think, this is what young kids got involved in. Charlie Kirk, you hear some of the stories, and I didn't know even all the background. He's 31 years old when he's assassinated. He'd been 32 in November. But, for a kid that had gotten involved in politics when he was 16, 17, 18, I think, to hear what he did or introduced J.D. Vance somehow. He saw him on a podcast and reached out and said, good job or whatever, and then introduced him to the Trump people and Trump campaign folks and the Trump family, if you will. It's devastating. I mean, we want young people to get involved, and what's been funny about this whole thing is I used to tell people all the time, I'm shocked this does not happen more often. I mean, we hear about it. There's little things here and there, but I personally have been close to people that I'm like, I really haven't been searched. I don't, they wouldn't know if I had something or some ability to, take this person out. But there's a lot of mental illness out there today. We see it. I think this is, what we see in the trans movement and all that kind of stuff. We don't talk about that. It's not my thing necessarily, but they just, what's going on is just, unbelievable. And it's unfortunate what has happened. I looked at it on TV and when we were watching, and I'm just, it was hard for me to believe. I mean, I saw some of the video and, I'm like, that can't be real. That must be AI. The blood loss, those types of things, and coming on the heels of what happened to that girl in Charlotte, that Ukrainian girl in Charlotte, who truly just bled out that quickly. And you hit a major vein or artery while people walk by, and certainly in the Charlie Kirk situation, I mean, that's the type of injury, if you were on the operating room table, maybe you would have a chance. But, to be able to get to a hospital, I mean, it was almost an internal injury direct on the chest would have probably been more survivable because the blood would have stayed in there and whatnot. But I don't see how a 22-year-old kid can make a shot like that. Maybe they can. Maybe it's a lucky shot.
Well, of course, you do understand that it actually hit the body armor and ricochet up into.
I've heard of that.
I mean, look at
But
look at his pictures.
I've
I
watched
don't
the
think
whole
he
thing.
was. I don't think he was.
We know, but again, we don't know. I don't know. I mean, I've looked at it. It looks like he's just wearing a t-shirt.
No, he only had a t-shirt.
No, only a t-shirt. Like you can.
But that's
see
again details that I think will come out over time. So
Well,
who really knows? You know, we know the results.
Well, I've
It was
hit,
it.
I routinely hit 250 meter targets over open sights without a whole lot of training. I mean, more training than most with the Army, but
Right.
200 yards so is not a difficult shot.
And maybe it is. So I mean, that's maybe it's not as difficult as I might think. So.
I know 14-year-olds hit a deer.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Silver dog circle.
we're not here to debate that. I get it. I get it. And he wasn't moving. That is true too. So it makes it obviously a whole lot easier. But I mean, I'm a person that gets out there and talks. I mean, people were worried about us being out around people during COVID and all that kind of stuff. We're like, I believe in God's timing, God's plan and God's timing and all that kind of stuff. And we're not afraid of that. We will get out, meet and talk and do all those things. And Charlie was an inspiration in that too. I admired him as being able to go out. He talks fast. Like I sometimes like to talk fast, but he's a whole lot smarter. I've met people that have done certain things, and you can tell the difference. That there is a different level of intelligence that's out there. And somebody I think said he had some photographic memory or whatnot. There are people that do that. When I was in grad school, one of my professors, it was just a basic general marketing class. There were 60 or 90 people in that class. We all walk in there, shake his hand. He introduces as each of us walk into the classroom. He knew everybody by name after that, and he had not researched about anything before. He knew, oh, you're Jeff Davis, you're this person. There's people that can do that type of stuff, and Charlie was a special person that was able to do that and to quote back scripture, and to see what he wanted to be remembered as a Christian and what he was doing. But I can't believe what his wife is suffering through. I mean, the more we watch it, at first it's just kind of like, oh, that's one thing, but then you watch it, there's so much video, and there's so many things that a lot of people didn't even know fully about Charlie Kirk. We see him because we watch him on Rav, 2 hours a day. But I think it's going to impact the country a whole lot more than you would ever expect.
I agree with something Glenn Beck said this morning. We need to start recognizing Charlie Kirk as the leading civil rights leader of our period.
Civil rights in what respect?
Because standing,
Oh, yes.
because of the fact he has done more to, particularly to bring a whole generation now that was unfortunately because of our education system that were wandering. And he revitalized a point of patriotism in this country that was being very hardly worked to do away with.
Right. And to get young kids to question authority, question what's going on, and have the discussion. To me, it's always about the discussion. And I actually enjoy, as I think he did, and he emphasized, people that disagree. If you disagree with me, come stand right there, and let's have that discussion. I was, strangely enough, that particular day earlier, I had probably spent an hour trying to counsel, if you will, gently, a younger person that was upset about the Ukrainian girl that was on the mayor of Charlotte's website posting foul language, calling her names, all that kind of stuff. And I know this kid's heart is in the right place, but what we teach here, what we insist with all of our people, you must be, we will be persistent, but we also must be professional. We do not tolerate that type of language. We do not tolerate name calling. We do not tolerate misleading people and spreading lies and all that kind of stuff. And that has been, quite frankly, the most shocking thing to me in politics is the amount of lies that are frankly spread all over the place. And in my emphasis, I know the Democrats, you can pick the Democrats out on the national perspective that they're doing that. And yes, I do have a lot to blame for this particular instance. But we have that within our own ranks within the Republican Party here in the state of South Carolina. We have it at the state executive committee level. We have it with what they did to Pickens this past weekend. We have what's been done to Charleston, what's been done to Greenville, what's been done to Lexington, what's been done to Oconee, what's been done to Horry, what's been done to the 1st Congressional District, what's been done to the 4th Congressional District. We have it what's been done to our personal fight with school choice. They have literally spread so many lies and rumors that are so unbelievable and so easily proven incorrect, but they do it for their own political motives. That sounds like the Democrats, right? But that's what Republicans in this state do. So in this instance, not that we're using this this to me is another reason why we cannot tolerate those types of things within certainly our own ranks, but certainly from anybody else just because they wear a Republican badge as well, because that's what's destroying our country. And people say, well, this political violence is horrible. We need to stop it. Political violence is just the ultimate end of all these lies and the things that they're misleading people all along the way. And that is what needs to be stopped. I would love to go in and study this particular kid's background to see what was upsetting him and what was getting him to go to that he felt that he needed to get to this level. Because I don't think a lot of these people, and I don't think I don't know, I'm just going to hypothesize. But did he think he was doing evil? Did he think he was doing bad? Or did he think he was doing something that was necessary to, people talk about it. What if you had the opportunity to kill Adolf Hitler? That's what they think they're doing. They think they're doing good. These people that lie today in the Republican Party, they sit there, they think they're doing good because they, the ends justifies the means. I'm not a believer in that. And I don't think we are ever going to be successful if we do believe that. When we start cheating, when we start, cheating elections, or we start cheating, and trying to take shortcuts to pass our legislation, all that type of stuff, then we've already lost. So we here are building things on a foundation of bedrock. We will do it the hardest way. That is, I hate it, because our people have to work harder and sacrifice more to be able to get there. But if we want to actually build something that will last, we have to insist on certain things. And I call out legislators, elected officials, candidates, politicians, party officials, activists, and just the general public of folks that get out. We can't tolerate it. And we've been saying it for a long time. And it's just, this is what it will lead to. And it will lead to something here in South Carolina, and blood will be on our hands if we don't call it out. And that's why we call it out. So, Ron?
Yeah, I agree totally with what you're saying. I want to bring out one point, though. Historically, political hate and assassinations has gone on throughout time.
Yeah.
It's not a new concept, but we do need to get the hate under control.
Right. And I think to me, it begins with talking. And I shared a particular article that we wrote in 2023. Don't trust anybody that refuses to meet. If you will not sit down and meet and discuss, that person needs to be pushed out. We have people within our own party that will not sit down and meet with me. They literally complain about me because I want to discuss things too much. They want to get what their way is, and they know they're not going to win their argument. So they sit there and say, "Oh, I'm not going to talk to you," And I got it. It goes the entire gamut. It's from regular lower level people or whatnot, if you will, what they do in their positions, to high level people. Pamela Vett, running for governor of this state, has been lieutenant governor for 8 years, will not talk to us about school choice. She will not talk to us about it because she will lose the argument, and she knows she will lose the argument, so she will not talk to us. We have some people that are, certainly we used to, I guess, most of them didn't participate in reorg this time period because they knew they would lose again, but they will not talk to us. But they would love to come to a business meeting and create a whole distressful situation and try to run people off. They did that. But they wouldn't come and sit down with me and say, any issues, concerns you got, let's go sit down and talk about it. You think we're stealing money from the GOP? We produce our bank statements, our financial statements. We post it online. We are the only people I know out there that do that. Certainly the state party does it. And I don't know any other county that does it. But they would want to come. They would not talk to us about it. They'd want to spread the rumors and then come to a meeting and disrupt about our financial statements. So they wouldn't want to come and talk about it. That's because they want to cause disruption. They want to cause discord amongst people. And there's a lot of people that don't follow all the details. And so they're like, oh, somebody's bringing it up. There must be something. When those people will not, they refuse to sit down and talk about it. It's all of these issues. So to me, anyone who will not sit down and talk and meet, and they're usually the people that hate me the most. And we have some that have been friends in the past that then decide that they don't want to talk anymore, and they don't want to talk because they're not getting their way for their candidates. We're not promoting their candidate the way they think we ought to be promoting their candidate. When we try to live on very principled things. And, Charlie, for a guy that was that age, that motivated and inspired so many people to get involved. I see Emerson's on here from Clemson. I would assume if we asked Emerson, Charlie Kirk was probably somebody that motivated him to get involved in this type of stuff. So, I just, it's going to be a tough recovery. I don't know what they will do. TV USA, I'm sure, they'll continue on, and there are a bunch of young voices that can rise up. And I know they have that type of stuff, but nobody was expecting this. So, any thoughts, questions?
Yes, but I have a thought, like
Yes, ma'am.
3 steps before. Darren is, if you want to read Darren's comments, he basically, I'm not aware, but he quotes the guy that got caught today. He must have said it somewhere. It's a quote that say, "Hey, faces catch."
That was in the grade on one of the car.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay, I didn't hear.
Hey,
So
back.
then,
On a
what
bullet card.
Darren does, Darren is one of our we started watching on. He is quoting Joe Biden from August 25th, 22. The quote is, "It's not just Trump, it's the entire philosophy that underpins the, I'm going to say something, it's like semi-fascist."
Fascist.
Actually,
See, that's what you should be reading.
Anderson Cooper, do you think Donald Trump is a fascist? Yes. Kamala Harris, yes, I do. Yes, I do. That's in October of 24. She was trying to get advantage by calling Donald Trump a fascist. Donald Trump is not a fascist. I remember
Kamala Harris would be much closer to being a
Well,
fascist.
and that's what's so interesting about the whole thing. They assume and they project and they call the Republican folks, conservatives or people that speak truth, fascists. They're speaking truth, when in the reality is the people that are restricting the truth. They don't want to hear the truth, and that's it's the projection piece of it. And I had this conversation literally with my mother the other day. I'm like, as we were talking about vaccines and the mandates and all those types of things. To mandate it and to not even allow people to have the conversations about it, that is more dictatorial than just having a conversation. You have to see, and maybe this is something I've learned in what we've had to experience, because even good people on our side have debates about things, and you really have to hear it all out. And I've changed and thought on my journey, my learning, and I realize other people are on a journey too. You just can't shut them down because they're not at the same level you are, because we're all kind of figuring out and learning a lot of stuff. My joke is I went to law school, had to take 6 hours of constitutional law the first year of law school, and I had no really idea what the Constitution was about. I knew how to read those cases, I knew about some particular cases, and the history of them and all that kind of stuff. But did I know what the Constitution was truly about and protecting our liberties and all that type of stuff? No. They didn't talk to us about that. They just talked about these cases and kind of really how things developed over some time, but it was never the depth of what I think our founding fathers really wanted the Constitution drafted it to be about. So, and I don't think they teach that in public schools or in schools anymore. So they really don't. And I will tell you, I'm more and more impressed with the homeschool community and what those folks are teaching, because I think it's parents that actually care. I think there's a segment of them that, just want to keep them home and aren't good parents or teachers necessarily, but that does not taint the huge amount of benefit that you see out of the
The
homeschool.
quality of curricula that's out there available for homeschoolers now too.
Right.
I mean, it's exploded over the last 10 years.
Yes, and I almost hate to say it, but COVID has brought that to the forefront. And we're big on school choice. And if I was making a personal choice for education of my children, it would be homeschool. It'd be on a boat, sailboat somewhere.
Children and excellence.
Yes.
So lifting it the obvious, Captain Obvious, is there not a way, it seems like we're always on the defense. Why are we always on the defense? It's like they've done something and then we're on the defense. We're having to defend ourselves, defend what we said or what we haven't said. Why are we not on the offense? We need to be on the other
I think that tide is turning. I think the Republican Party generally has been on the defense forever.
forever.
I think they've generally been on the defense because they actually go along to get along with these Democrats, and they don't want to be the Republican.
Because you can see where it's
Donald Trump is a fighter. That's what New Yorkers are like, especially in that industry.
Too. Fighting to one group is different than fighting to another group.
Okay.
So for example, he fight. His fight is not fight. His fight is like, let's do the intellectual thing.
Sure.
Let's do the right thing. Let's do the honest thing. Let's not stop that. Whereas their brain goes to this.
Yes, I agree.
So you're dealing with someone that's 180 degrees from where you are, and I think that's what Charlie did so well.
That's why Charlie Kirk scared them so bad.
That's
we need to be
exactly right.
That's more what we need to be doing.
And there is an interview that Charlie and Gavin Newsom were on, and Gavin Newsom said, made some comment about how Charlie has really escalated that fight in the sense of an intellectual fight.
Exactly.
Donald Trump, I don't see him. We could beat him all day. And you know what? If we don't think we can, if we have to take shortcuts because we don't think we can win the intellectual argument, then maybe we're wrong.
Right.
These people can't win the intellectual argument, so they take it to another level. When somebody needs to point in their brain, if you can't win the intellectual argument, then
And that needs to be said by somebody.
Right.
That needs to be put in their face. The thought needs to be put in people's minds. So I think if you put the thought in there, they're going to have to rumble around something.
and the way I've always heard Donald Trump operates is he'll be he's sitting here at his desk. He'll have one side sitting in that chair, the other side sitting in that chair, and he has them fight it out. And he asks questions, and he does
They
that.
have 4 or 5 that are sitting there.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, but you see the concept. Get them to speak, get them to figure it out.
That's how he gets educated.
Yes, that is exactly how he gets educated. And Olga and I it's probably been a couple months now. And I would highly encourage anybody to do it. It became the Apprentice. I never saw it. So the Apprentice and then the Celebrity Apprentice. We binge watched that thing, both of them. And I will tell you, that dude has not changed. He's exactly the way he's always been. I knew him from reading The Art of the Deal, in 1987 when I was at the Citadel. I got it as a Christmas gift, and I read that. And then I don't read a lot of those. I read technical books, tax books, and things like that. I don't read a lot of those types of things, but I read that, and The Lords of Discipline was the other book that I read. Those are my favorites in books: The Lords of Discipline and The Art of the Deal by Donald Trump.
I do want to say something.
Yes.
Just in general, like when we say that nobody's actually confronting people, we have to think where these people are getting their information. They're getting 10-second snippets, and some of the stuff with Charlie Kirk, we know as the person that wants to be remembered for his Christian faith and bringing people to Jesus. Whereas out there, the ones that are celebrating has only had 10-second snippets of something that he said and spun it around.
Right.
And what I have had success talking to people is like, okay, so you're taking a whole philosophy of who he was and making an assumption about him in 10 seconds. Rush Limbaugh used to say, don't just listen to my radio show one time. You have to listen to me for 6 weeks. Give me 6 weeks to bring the whole thing around. And I think that's a big problem with our generation and just other people. Now we have the attention of a goldfish.
That's
And
right.
you're getting all our information, and no one's actually asking, like, why. Because if you look at like Trump, they say, well, he hates gay people and he hates women and stuff like that. Have you looked at his cabinet? There's a lot of women in high-ranking positions. I mean, you have the Treasury Secretary, like homosexual. I mean, it's like, all right, if that was true and he hated that, then why did he do this? And he's giving them complete control. He rarely steps on their toes. I don't think he said anything really negative about any of the people he put in leadership positions. And this is like opposite of what people are saying. And I kind of just questions like, tell me why you think that. Where did you get your source?
Because
And I even pulled out,
I tell you.
when I pulled out the, I think it was like 2-3 weeks ago with Charlie Kirk about Taylor Swift getting married and saying, you submit to the man and the woman you have to give your life to. And people are saying, oh, yes, what's all this? And it's like, wait. Let's listen to the whole speech that he said.
Right.
All right. And I pulled up and was like, will you listen with me? And the person sat down and listened with me. And after that, there was a complete change on him. I said, well, I didn't realize that. And I just told him, was like, you have to take everything into consideration. And sometimes people just have to sit down, take a minute, and you just have to sit there and hold their hand through the whole process to really get them to do it. And it takes a lot of time, and you have to be super patient, and it's one person at a time. And that change in that person may take 6 or 7 months before they finally start changing. I mean, look at Bill Maher. Look where he was after a meeting with Trump. He started changing and coming more on our side.
Well, it's common sense. I mean, you begin to use your own discernment, your own common sense, and your own power question.
What is the
Why-
lens that people are seeing, though? The lens in which they're seeing it. That 10 seconds, you can instantly decide how this person is.
That's the manipulation I'm talking about.
Right, that's the
Yeah,
gaslight.
It is the mainstream press. I think they're doing it on purpose.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's some politicians. I think they're doing it on purpose. And I think there's some lower level people that we all know that are doing it on purpose. I remember the first interview I saw where a reporter actually started hinting at Trump being a racist. This is obviously back probably 2016 or so. And even the other reporter was kind of like, yeah, I don't really see that. I don't see him as a racist at all. I don't.
It sure manifested itself.
But now it is okay, and it slips off the tongue. They're willing to say it all day long and pound the table, now call him a fascist. And look at what it has done to mislead a kid that has an ability to be misled and is troubled in that. That's the type of stuff I think needs to stop. I don't think it's unique with the left. I think it happens a great deal on the right, and especially in a state that is more conservative or more a Republican red state. I think it happens all over the place. Our battle, personally, what we're all here battling is not Democrats, it's the Republicans. And it's a lot of those Republicans that do the same actions that will ultimately lead someone to doing what this kid did. And I will give you the example. There is a lady, I will mention her name, but people know she's been extremely troubled on social media. She used to just write things and say things. Now she has been, at one point she was involuntarily committed. She's been put on trespass notice by umpteen different businesses, including Bob Jones University, where her child is now a freshman, I believe, or is going. She still went on campus, bless you, and was arrested. If Bob Jones University is like having this lady arrested, then there's an issue. Right before she was involuntarily committed, and it's an issue we've had to talk about from a security perspective here. We're not sure, but there was a 911 call that she was going someplace with a weapon, and we're not sure if they were coming here to our coffee and politics or going to the camp meeting that Spartanburg has on Saturdays. Yeah, so I mean, we've talked about it and the security issues and all that kind of stuff, and we're trying to kind of figure some pieces of that out. We've kind of stayed away from her, so she hasn't been. But she would write on social media all the time about the brick building on Whitehampton and all that kind of stuff. Well, you know who started all of that stuff? It was a lot of the rhinos. It was, it was Adam Morgan's people. I mean, I hate to say it, but it was Adam Morgan and Nate Loip and all those people that were battling. And you could look up her address, and the Google Maps, whatever. She's got signs in front of her yard for Adam Morgan and Josiah Magnuson. And she was a big Mark Lynch supporter. And I have literally spoken, not to Adam or Josiah about it, but I literally spoke to Mark Lynch about it. And I'm going to say this because I've said it to him when he came up to me wanting to come speak at our October meeting, which we're focusing on municipalities, so we're not. But I sat there and said, Mark, you got so many people around you that are saying some of the most nastiest, meanest things on social media, and it is going to be dangerous. And this was on April 3rd at the State Convention in Columbia. He goes, well, I just can't control them.
Yeah,
You know what? You can't control them. Why in the hell should we elect you to be our U.S. Senator if you are unwilling to speak up? Because guess what? That lady is being pushed just like this kid was pushed, just like the other unnamed people that we don't know that are out there. Just like the kid that was sitting there writing all the horrible language, to the mayor of whatever. I don't want to pick on him whatnot, because I do think he's just youthful and inexperienced. But you know what? I took an hour that day to sit here and say, you shouldn't be doing that. But you know what? He works for the Mark Lynch campaign. He does. And I'm like, I'm not trying to bash on that, but I even sent a message to Mark Lynch and Evan Mulch earlier when we met a couple weeks ago, because people wanted us to kind of try to reconcile some of our differences. I sent him a text a couple days ago about a particular person that works for Mark Lynch, spreading lies and saying things. And I said, here's an image of it. Did I say this at the meeting? Did we do this? I mean, that person wasn't in the meeting, but because I was claimed I said certain things in the meeting. I sent it to Mark and to Evan. No response from either one of them. Because guess what? I don't think they want to respond. They want that person to continue to go out on social media and write nasty, horrible things about Jeff Davis and the things that we're doing, just like the Democrats wanted these types of kids going out, and the people that you were saying that were at Georgia Tech and all that kind of stuff that are out there that are saying and doing nasty things about a Charlie Kirk or a Donald Trump or all that type of stuff.
Did you ever talk to Mark Lynch?
We did. We had a nice meeting. We had a meeting for 2 hours, I think.
It was maybe 2.5 hours.
Okay.
It was a good meeting.
Good.
Peaceful. We addressed my issue, which was just a patch fences or reach across the divide that's there. It was a good conversation.
Did he come here? Or y'all go?
No, we
Very
good.
That's where it should be.
But I mean, we should have continued the conversation. Now I send a message and I don't get a response because somebody would have had to have done something. I haven't brought up the kid or I haven't brought up the other things, but I'm like, hey, this is your person. This is your person that works 15 feet outside of your office door, and this person is spreading lies.
Well, that's not unlike what's happened with the Biden presidency.
Yes.
People around him he didn't control.
Right.
And we know where that led.
And I
think
he was not in the mental state to do that.
Well,
but Obama was.
that
Obama sounded like a great guy, but it's not Obama. It's the people
it's
around
the
him.
people around you that create
It's the
the
baggage.
situation.
And
Wow.
he probably when, especially Trump's first term, when people were trying to make him look bad because there was so much turnover with his cabinet and stuff. It's because probably he wouldn't put up with it.
Right.
But yeah, you're fired.
Right. And he didn't know. The best thing, I hate to say it, the best thing that ever happened is he
It's
had
Biden's in between.
just 4 years off. It wasn't, I don't know if it's necessarily Project 2025 and Heritage. I think it was the America First Policy Institute down there, right next to him. And he got those people paid, and they sat there and thought about what they were going to do for 4 years. And now I think I've said 100 times, I think they got a 3.5 year, 4 year plan This is coming out on this day. This is coming out on this day. This is coming on this.
Absolutely.
It's Christmas every day.
He's not responded. He has driven
Back to why we
He
were.
is on
He is on
from
offense.
day one
Yes.
and try to keep up.
Yes.
And that's how it's got to go.
And I will tell. I think we are more of an offensive group here. It gets us a lot of people pissed off at it.
Whoever, I mean, it may, Mark should do something because he should, because it's the right thing to do. He's supposed to be a God-fearing man. But somebody's driving the train.
Yeah.
And this person that's driving the train is the person that needs to be stopped. And that's where you should be jumping in.
Whoever is
Like, whatever you're doing is not appropriate,
They
right?
need to
If
talk.
we're gonna mend fences, if we're gonna do this together, that's not appropriate. He's gotta call that action out. And because he's not doing that, it tells you everything. People will tell you who they are, just listen.
And I say that
Okay,
about
you're-
Mark, but I say that about Pamela Vett. I say that about Alan Wilson. I say that about Josh Kimbrell.
So who are we behind?
I mean, that's, well,
David Pasco.
David Pasco. On the outside.
Without a doubt.
This is the easy one.
Yeah.
He's turned people that I know that are on all kinds of sides of the fence with that one. So there is some resistance among the rhinos or the splinter group that, oh, we got what's his name, David Stumbo. But David Stumbo is the guy that left the Lexington GOP chair off after embezzling over $100,000 from the Lexington GOP and the
So
one of the
who's
other groups.
Who's Charleston,
Charleston.
South Carolina?
Golden Finch.
Who's
Who's Charleston?
Probably
Who's Charleston?
Oh, who is Charleston?
Probably a rhino.
Well, there's a good group down there though.
We have a Charleston visitor.
Yes.
Would you like to introduce
So
yourself?
do you know Charles Waring?
No,
See Charleston Mercury? Those are the guys that you want to get.
the Charleston Mercury newspaper.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, no, he's not a rhino.
Okay.
It's
Okay. I don't know him.
it's I don't know.
I
either.
don't know.
Newspaper, but I don't know him.
Yeah, I'm not.
Stand up. Stand up.
So I'm Kelly Fowler. I am from Charleston. I'm the vice president of my precinct. I was a president for 2 years and someone wanted to be president, so I stepped down, right?
Which part of Charleston are you out of?
Mount Pleasant.
Okay.
Precinct 6, and I am Airbnb up in Greenville. And so I've been wanting to come to one of these meetings for a while, so I'm
Well,
glad
to
you're
hear.
welcome here. Thank you. And I'm also part of the group that went and stood up for Charleston and Columbia at the big appeals meeting that they put together, where numerous people were elected, where they were supposed to be duly elected to even be in that committee meeting, making votes. And all 3 of the votes, Pickens, Charleston, and the other was all 7 to 33. And, so nobody has their own mind, obviously, because they all.
Well, we were on the set. I can
Yeah,
promise you.
yeah. Well, I appreciate
Greenville was part of the set.
Yeah, I appreciate that very much.
It also.
Anyway, so there is a big report out there right now. If anybody wants a copy of it, I can get you an email address to request it. It's a 21-page report on all the shenanigans that went on at the Charleston meeting and the appeals meeting. And that was just sent actually this week to the RNC and a few other key people. So anyway, if anyone has something they want me to send it to, let me know.
What she's talking about is all the corruption of what the leadership of the SCGOP has been doing. Certainly since we got involved in 21 and the reorg fraud of 2021,
Yeah, sure.
and what has just gone on over and over and over. And I do have a person for you down there on the pro-life side that I would like to connect you guys with. So, but yeah, y'all connect too. But but we can do some other things there.
So do you know who they're behind?
Huh?
So do you know who they're behind?
I don't know who they,
Behind in what race?
To replace Lincoln?
Oh, the price, Lindsey Graham?
oh,
Oh, well, I mean, the only
No,
candidates,
it's not
you've got Mark Lynch and you've got Paul Dans.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are
I
the only
think
two.
Dan's is more preferred in my opinion, but that's just from.
The Charleston, because he's from Charleston, so I've had some Charleston friends refer him to us.
How do they feel?
I mean, they don't like Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
But I do say, and I've said, and I would say,
Get away.
it's not just enough to say, oh, I'm not Lindsey, vote for me.
Right.
It's
Almost.
I know a lot of people
Almost.
who have
Not
said,
yet.
I will not be voting for Lindsay, I don't care what.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think you'll have that problem, but I also think we have a I think Donald Trump has Lindsey where he needs him.
Yeah.
And so Donald is, the president is supporting him. I think it's going to be extremely hard to take him out unless you got to have at least $15 million. You got to have, a presence. Paul Dance is new to the scene, at least from a South Carolina perspective. It's going to be tough. I'm scared to death we're stuck with him for another 6 years.
Yeah.
So Donald Trump may want him for his final 2 years of his term, but he's also leaving us stuck with him for the next 4 years after.
Although
Yeah, Trump will find out
if
is.
Vance comes in and works in the same way Trump does.
Yeah, he may. So that's. We do have Paul Dance's campaign has asked us to set up a meet and greet because obviously he's not from up here, so he's going to come into town on Monday, October 6th. We don't have the location yet or the time set, but he will be up here that evening. So we'll probably it'll be informal, just a little sit down, but he'll get up and speak, and people ask questions and all that kind of stuff. So you'll be well, everybody will be welcome to come to that. So.
I think you're doing the right thing, but when you look at these candidates are good, Mark Lynch, good candidate, really, good Christian.
Should be,
all that, good face, good face on that part. The issue is the swamp that's around it. And when you're talking, you have a meeting with them, like you've done, and you say, hey, we got some swamp in here. And they don't want to, you have to judge our candidates based on the swamp that they're going to be in. And Trump said it right. He said, I thought I could clean out the swamp. He's thinking it's this deep, and it's a whole lot deeper. And I lived in Washington, and it starts here.
Yes, it's the local level is where it starts. That's there is more corruption and more swamp in the Golden Palace of Greenville County Council's building than there is in DC. I mean, not really, but but on a percentage basis, the swamp is so deep up there it blow your mind. But that's where we can make the biggest difference. But guess what? It's also a lot harder to do that. It's hard to sit there and run into somebody at the grocery store that you're calling out and trying to get fired or whatever, exposed, whatever meeting, at a meeting you went and spoke at a county council meeting. Nancy Pelosi, has anybody run into Nancy Pelosi? I mean, it's easy to sit there and bash on Nancy Pelosi all day, but you're not going to run into her at the grocery store. She's not going to be telling some of your friends at Bible study or wherever that, what a horrible person you are. That's what goes on at this level of the fight. I got people that say, yeah, it's very personal. I mean, Nancy Pelosi doesn't care. Lindsey Graham doesn't care, for God's sakes. All the things that are said about him. I mean, it's just, it is what it is. But I mean,
He'll tell you it's just the job. I'm not worried about
it. He will say that. And to a certain extent, it is part of the job. And it's you gotta. I find humor in some of the things. I actually do find a lot of humor in the ideas, how creative some people can come up with things they say about me. I find it funny, and I will tell candidates, I'm like, if you got dirt in your background, tell it to us now, or they'll find it. Just don't worry, they will. And if you don't, if you are squeaky clean, they're going to make it up. They will literally make it up. What did they make up about me? That I was disbarred from the practice of law. That's what Ellen Weaver, our superintendent of education, was telling people, told Presley Stutz in 2016 or 2016 at Diane Hardy's event and Stacey Shay's event over in Clemson that I had been disbarred from the practice of law. It's easy. Go look it up on the Georgia State Bar Association and see that I've never been disbarred. I've never had any public reprimand, and I can tell you, I will swear on a stack of Bibles and sign it. I've never had a private reprimand from the State Bar of Georgia. Never had any issues. But she went and told people that. I think, personally, number one, she was spreading lies. Now she's a leader. And at that point, she was at Palmetto Promise and all that kind of stuff. Jim DeMint, which is who we battle up here. But it was I think she was so stupid. She probably looked up on, went to USC Law School. She probably looked up on the South Carolina bar membership list, didn't see my name, and assumed I was disbarred.
Oh.
She was probably that stupid. But then again, she didn't have her master's degree at that time. She now has her master's degree. So.
Master's of stability?
Well, I don't know if you know the story, but to be superintendent of education, you had to have a master's degree.
Yeah.
She did not have it when she signed up to run for superintendent of education in March of
She was
2024.
actively seeking it at the
Oh,
time.
she did what, 11 months under
6 months.
Less,
$6,000.
maybe even less than 6.
She's a freaking genius.
I thought she got it in about 3 or 4 months. It was generous at 6. I don't know a 2-year master's degree or master's degree you get 6. It doesn't exist anywhere.
She got it, they shut down that program option.
Well, I think they did. I think they did. And I will tell you, consider this.
They call it politics.
If I had told you before that all happened, and I did tell some people, I said, this heads are going to roll for them. After that it got exposed, the chairman of the board at Bob Jones was gone. It was all within 6 months. The president of Bob Jones was gone. And the chief of staff, Randy Page, was gone too. You would have never thought. And does anybody connect the dots between, oh, they pulled off this stunt for Ellen Weaver to now 6 months, a year later, they're all gone? They look at me like, oh, and there's certain people that I've said that to out of that community. They're just like, oh, no, it was something else. It's not. No, it was not something else. It was the fact that they participated in a fraud. And they were going to, because I've actually contacted the accreditation organization for Bob Jones. I can't remember. They were maybe out of Atlanta or something like that. Their issue, it was not punishing the school. Their issue was getting the school into compliance. You get into compliance by these people leaving, not by you putting out a press release saying we're taking your accreditation because you participated in a fraud if you don't fire these people. They made sure they got back into line, and that's what the accreditation agent was also about the money. But it was all tied. She is superintendent of education. If we don't find somebody that's going to run against her, you want to talk about an example to kids? The person that runs our education department for the state of South Carolina, who's made 0 improvements from my perspective, is the role model for 600,000, 650,000 public school kids.
Fix anything because of COVID. I have heard her say that.
She was elected in 24.
She said that they're recovering from COVID. I just saw there.
Oh, she's elected in 22. You're right. So she'll be up in 26. So yeah, she had to deal with a little bit of COVID. Starting in January of 23 is when she started. She's been. I've never had a conversation with her. Back to our point of, and we have been involved in school choice. We've raised more money for school choice, either in this state and or Georgia, and and she's allegedly an advocate for school choice and all that stuff. With I made her promise. She has never sat down and met with us. Never, ever has she done it.
So how do you find somebody to replace her?
We got to find somebody. We need to. But we as conservatives all need to rally around the right candidate, one conservative candidate. I will tell you, we watched it the past 3 elections for superintendent of education. The conservatives will split the vote. The runoff will then become the Rhino versus the Democrat that's running as a Republican, the obvious Democrat, and then the Rhino. But the conservatives won't get in there because we go in there and we fight amongst ourselves. And I literally last time, 3 years ago, I tried to talk to people, and one of them had run before, and I said, I just want to get everybody in the room to sit down and talk. That person was so upset with me, just not automatically supporting them. They still trash me all day, and they're part of the problem. That's a conservative. If she had been superintendent of education, I'd have been happy. But I could not get her to even sit down in a room and discuss with other candidates and other people across the state, so we could unify behind one
Let me
candidate.
ask, so if they're splitting, that's a strategy. We get our conservative, we're going up against said person, and we bring someone else in to split our vote. Why can't we throw more people in running that replicate what they're
More
saying?
rhinos?
Just somebody that will replicate what their rhino is saying. That's charismatic to split their vote. Because like with the governor race right now, I truly believe with these amount of people in there that we have the advantage whoever we back in the long run because they're splitting their own vote, you know? So really, for the first time, we actually have a huge opportunity, whatever decision we decide to make, to back up because there's more candidates. Why don't we just spread it out a little bit and make them work like we've had to work?
That's your governor's race, because I had this conversation with a friend in York County last week. This friend of mine said, the Democrats will flood the Republican primary for governor to get what they think is I mean, come on, Lindsey Graham's won primary 4 times because of Democrats voting for him.
But
Yeah,
I think that's the point on some of that stuff though. Look, if we bring, I've actually brought a lot of Democrats back to my side of thinking because I bring everything back down to not MAGA, but like, is this right or wrong? Said candidate did this, and then, but he told us this. He needs to go, right? Would you let your toddler do that? Like, no. So why? No. Once you bring it back to that terminology, forget the politics, he lied to me. Why would you want him in charge of your policies? More people are actually thinking, you know what? You're actually right. There's more Democrats I know that were upset with Helen Weaver that I even realized. If we would have just brought that down to that, we could have brought the Democrats over to what we wanted. But we're like missing it because we're going into like I'm mad. Like, but when I bring it back down to right versus wrong, they lied. We need to get down. They're 100% open to listening to what I'm saying.
I've always, I mean, people feel like they have either from birth or their family feel like they're either a Republican or a Democrat. But if you sit down and actually talk to them, get into the basics of right versus wrong, that person lied to me. You point out a Republican that lied to me, I'm pissed off. You know, you point out a Democrat that's lied, they should be pissed off. You know, because I think the people are good people.
He's my EC.
Sure, EC.
He's my EC.
This is Agent, and Agent is kind of regular but not regular, so that's how we
I stayed on that, and then he's small kids, so that's why I'm regular. Agent
is a EC of Sugar Mill Trees.
Super Mill.
Super move.
And he's a Citadel graduate
He's a
too.
Citadel graduate.
And this
sorry.
is from.
Whoa, wait a second.
It was better 20 years ago.
It was better 20 years ago. It was actually better 35 years ago.
Go tell your age. Go tell your age.
Obviously, I went Boston College.
Let me throw out a question that you could ask Alan Wilson, who wants to be governor. What is his position on the murder of Logan Federico, who was killed earlier this year in Colombia? He has done nothing to prosecute that murder. He has allowed that murderer to get out and run around, which is why she was killed. We have to have the knowledge and what questions to ask to trap him.
Right, well, that's the
He
offense.
is a piece of garbage.
Well, and we got to be there when we're asking them those questions and get them say like someone with video. It's like a clip it.
Oh,
We
yeah.
can play those games too.
Yes.
You know, we just have to be ready. And, because if you look at the field, like Alan Wilson and Pamela, I mean, they're at the bottom. We're the top two, Norman and Mace. You know, we have a really good chance if whoever we pick, they'll put their foot in their mouth.
It's to me, it's Nancy's race to lose.
Right.
She could, you know, she's out there. I think she would stir things up. If there was a murder in Colombia, I think she'd be calling that stuff out and fix it. She's not going to hide behind something. My problem with Ralph Norman is he's surrounded by a lot of people that are not.
And he
He endorsed Nikki Haley. There's just a lot of people
And
around.
he needs to come to us and convince us why. But see, that stuff we even like on county council level. I think we should be racking up our points. There's like so and so. There's one in particular that I think was supported. That I don't really like. Some of the stuff is like you need to go, and that needs to be the example for everybody else. We'll help you. We'll put you in, but you fall out of line and you don't answer it to us because we put you in there. You're gonna leave, and that actually gives us the credibility that Trump got.
Yes.
For his recommendations. But when we recommend somebody, you know, we start putting the fear of God into these politicians.
Good.
That's the only way to do it.
We've not talked about it, so I don't know which county. I got a guess which county council member you're talking about.
Mhm.
And yes, that is out there. I've not spoken to that person since we got him elected. And rumor is he wants to run for a South Carolina House seat. I hope he does. And it will destroy him.
And see, that needs to be the example. Like he did the A, B, and C. You crossed us, and it's in my choice. You said this. You didn't do it. Right.
Yeah.
He used us and lied to us. We were used and lied. You know, and we do have the two people that are up that we will censure again for the tax is Dan Tripp and Joey Russo. Joey Russo is another civil guy. I mean, and he knocked on your door, actually. He knocked on your door, and you asked him, why, have you talked to the Greenville County chair?
Why aren't you at our business meetings? What? He's backing up. Don't back up. Because I just stepped forward, and I did. And I was ready to go nose to nose with him. He just did not impress me at all. Now, I'm also not a Joe Dill fan, but I'm sorry.
But Joey Russo, another civil alumni, was told not to speak to me as chairman of the Greenville County Republican Party at the time.
And see, there used to be a price paid for
Yes.
that because we're the largest,
Right.
and we need to throw our weight around and say, look, and we're gonna post it. And you know what? I'm not even in the thing of like debating. It's just like, you know what? We're gonna go knock on doors. You're done.
Right.
You know, like this is what you did.
We are very much on offense.
Yeah.
To answer that, I mean, I sent a letter to Ralph Norman this week, you know, formal letter on our letterhead, inviting him whenever he's in town. We would just like to sit down and meet and talk, you know, I want to express a few things, hear what his plan is for South Carolina, express some concerns we have. I mean, in his office were rhinos that were on this, you know, state executive committee that were doing bad things. And I'm like, Ralph Norman, you say you oppose all these things. Ralph Norman called one of the people in Pickens and said, oh, I'll do what I can to help you. I'm like, first of all, talk to the guy in your office. It's on the executive committee that votes with what's his name? Drew McKissick. You know, and then on the flip side, he's in there dealing with and getting the backing and throwing around all the whole Freedom Caucus stuff. And I'm like, well, why don't you get those people in line? Because they're sitting there spreading lies and doing all these types of things. They're sitting there promoting the woman who was obviously having some mental issues and is now threatening to go with a weapon to someplace where she's being involuntarily committed because of that and getting kicked off and arrested and all these types of things. We cannot tolerate that. Adam Morgan would never tell us where he was on that critical medical freedom vote, whatever the heck it was. He sat there and told people, oh, I was on a work thing. When I had people calling me saying, oh, he's up here in D.C. getting special interest money for his congressional race. Not my fault. He lied initially, is what I believe, and he backed himself in a corner. What's he supposed to say? Oh, well, I was singing it as Patch the Pirate, or Admiral, or Captain Morgan, or whatever his title is, down in Sarasota, Florida, but I was living in D.C.
I have a quick question. Is the legislation in South Carolina kind of stronger than the?
Yes, we are a legislative state.
Right.
The governor is about number 7 on the power.
Right. So wouldn't it be better? I mean, everybody focus on these people in legislation and other.
But the governor has the pulpit.
That
is so important that people don't understand. You can get up there and the governor can trash these people.
Nancy Mace can have a press conference all day long and get everybody to show up and hear what she says. That's what we need out of a governor. Now, if y'all will get a kick out of this. Before the lieutenant governor and the governor started running on the same ticket, they used to elect the governor and lieutenant governor separately. And the lieutenant governor was president of the Senate and conducted all the business. He wears the
more powerful than the governor.
Actually, it was in that respect. Yes, you're actually, that is true. Lieutenant governor was more powerful because he controlled the body or the podium on the Senate side. It was my master, and so we would go and we'd be advocating for school choice. We'd sit up in the little. But Olga could never. You'd look at her and she'd be sitting there staring, trying to understand what poor Henry the master was saying. I understand. She doesn't understand what he's saying.
You know, his brother doesn't speak with that accent.
I've heard that too. Yeah.
He doesn't.
Is that the gay brother that assaulted
at
the?
Yeah, he was at some function in outside Orangeburg.
Smart enough to get out in front of Trump.
Oh yes. But a lot of people don't realize he had actually endorsed Jeb Bush before he switched to Donald Trump.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
I'm gonna bet Lindsey Graham told him to do that.
I don't know who told him,
Switch
but
it to Trump.
he was just a know-nothing, no-name lieutenant governor. He is ambitious. He has run for everything out there, and he just could not get over the hump. And he took a flyer on endorsing Trump, and because he saw Bush was going down the tubes, and it doesn't really help to get on the Marco Rubio campaign at that point in time because Nikki was sucking up all the air for that. So he jumped on the Trump side.
Look at Marco Rubio now.
But he's not a Trump person.
He's looking good.
The
isn't
fact that Donald Trump waited until the day after he would be able to serve 2 full terms and an end of term
Yes.
before he appointed Nikki Haley to the UN.
Yes.
I mean, it was 2 days after that date was when she was appointed, and it was announced that Master was moving up. So that way he was going to get his 10 years.
So he will, and he is at this point, I think, the longest serving governor in South Carolina history. So it's, it was his life goal, and there are certain people that generation, I think that's what they probably grew up as a kid wanting to be. I mean, I could care less about being a governor of the state of South Carolina. I'd much rather, we do XYZ for these kids and all that kind of stuff. But there's some people that have that. It's so funny. There's a young kid that's running for the House District 21 to replace Bobby Cox. And I'm like, like on his little campaign page or something. And I think he's from Illinois or probably Ohio, wherever these people come from. And it's like somebody that knew him as probably a 6-year-old saying, this has always been a life goal of yours. I'm like, if it's your life goal is to be a politician, you're not. That's not who we need. I just, even if it was my life goal, I wouldn't tell you. At this stage, it's embarrassing. It would be embarrassing.
Back to the
It's not my life goal to say
that
that.
she had concerning the legislature. You're exactly right. I live in North Carolina. Our legislature runs the state. South Carolina General Assembly runs the state. The problem that we have, both in my state and your state, is once the election is over and they're sent to the legislature, nobody pays attention.
Yeah.
I mean, and I see it, Tea Party when it first started, I'd go to Raleigh. I go to Raleigh a day a week from the legislature there, just as an active citizen. And I used to go and I'd see 50, 60, 80 people walking the halls. Now I go up there for a day and I ran into a single person on that. Because it gets comfortable. We've got our guys in.
Yes.
And that's where this whole thing about local government and state government, the education hierarchy has been working for 50 years to absolutely remove the knowledge of local, county, and state government from the next generation. We're 3 to 4 generations into it now.
Yeah.
They want everybody to look at the shiny things up on Capitol Hill. And what happens in Columbia affects your life in South Carolina a whole lot more than any damn thing that happens in Washington, D.C.
A whole lot more. And we need to teach people to ignore the national news and ignore all that stuff and focus on the local. And how do we do that?
By getting people to volunteer, to sit on boards and see what's going on and then report back to your leaders.
Yes.
Yeah.
We need more help, not
Yes.
us being great leaders. We need great supporters.
Right.
And it doesn't take a lot. You don't have to be a genius, right?
You just need to apply for it, get on these boards and commissions, run for, we literally
And then you
have,
run the government.
we have, there's 20 elections for fire commissioners. Some of them have multiple candidates or multiple positions that are open. There are 4 spots that nobody even filed to run. Lake Cunningham, we know Lake Cunningham because I think they've been trying to do some taxing. There's 2 positions open. Nobody filed for those 2 positions. We failed on our side with our candidate recruitment committee because we haven't looked as deep into the fire commission stuff, but it's now going to be a much higher priority for us.
They control a lot of money.
They do. Look at all the nice fancy fire departments we got around. They're doing it, and we had the question was asked us, why would we care about it? is because they have taxing authority. That's why.
Sure.
And they do the maximum taxing authority. That's why they have so much money. They just
built a new one
they're
almost at the intersection of 25 and 8. And now they're building another one 5 miles down the road. They're almost finishing. I'm like, why did they even do that? And then they get all
They're
this.
on fire.
Yeah.
They're on fire, so I'm happy to.
Well, that's a different
Well, I
area,
think we
but
gotta look at on that stuff. It's like, yeah,
I know that's a different area.
everyone wants a good fire station to have the equipment to save our lives.
Right.
But what I've learned is with the developers and the people that get the contracts and stuff, was that fire station as expensive as it needs to be to get all that stuff? That is the thing that people, is it a $600 toilet in there? You know,
Exactly.
that's the questions that when people hear that, it's like, wait a second, you mean we could have had that for half the price?
Yeah.
That is.
Well, there's another one like
Every public school that's built can be built for 30 to 40% of what they pay for.
well, it's good.
true.
The most corrupt industry in the country today is school
Well,
construction.
the person on my area with the county council, not the county council, but the school board, he's VP of the,
School construction business.
Yeah.
Design
so of
architect.
course, he's the one heading up all the new construction renovations of all the stuff, and his, like, come on.
He may have to, recuse himself on Greenville County stuff, but I have seen that person all over Columbia. And I used to, when we would go down there a whole lot, I would be like, why is he down here?
Right.
Because he's networking with everybody, and he gets to say, hey, I'm a school board member of, the top 55 school boards in the nation, the biggest one in South Carolina. And he's down there talking as an expert to all these other school districts across the state, saying, "Oh, well, we can build that building for you." And I'm like, "Are we not seeing this?" I mean, it's the person. Yeah, it's like they were sitting there promoting one of the people that's running for city council in Alden for re-election, Taft Manning. He's a lobbyist. He's on Alden City Council, and it would be an easy takeout. We did not get somebody to run against him, and I'm so frustrated about it because we had one person that was going to do it, and somebody talked him out of running. That he ought to wait till another time to run. And I'm like, are you kidding me? We were counting on that person running, and we were working on trying to talk him into running against this particular person, who would be hard to beat maybe, and somebody talked him out of it. I'm like, for a race that won't be for another 3 years. And I'm like, you talked about it running for that because this race is in 3 years. They thought the race was next year. And I'm like, no, it's in 3 years. So we could have taken that person out and done some things. But he also is a lobbyist for the Greenville Chamber of Commerce. I think they paid him $23,500 last year. He's a lobbyist for several of the fire districts. One of the things that we're doing on the legislative committee is working on legislation to sit there and make it illegal for taxpayer-funded lobbying. He's paid by the taxpayers. The fire taxes I pay are now used to pay him to go down to Columbia and or Greenville City Council or County Council and advocate for more money. And I'm like, he's also on the opposite side of us for school choice because he's pushing the government-run school choice because Ellen Weaver and Jim DeMint already. So,
Jeff, I'd like to back up a little bit to your comment on the open fire seats that were not being applied for. Me being new to the game, as you know, it's only been a few months for me being here. How does the public learn what seats, what kinds of positions, like zoning commissions and all this other stuff, what seats are available and when? Because by the time people finally came to me asking me to fill a position or two, I'm still learning, but the cutoff was like in 2 weeks. And I'm trying to learn and say, no, I don't want to do that.
and now they've added in there.
But my question is, how do we learn all this stuff and make the public educated to it?
It's purposely obtuse that they don't want it out there. Their buddies, everybody that's already in the system, they go tell their buddies and they don't want, it's not clear. We've been screaming from the mountaintops for years to go and get on boards and commissions and all that kind of stuff. Even if you're just planning it out 6 months from now, go find what's coming up, find out, just realize it's a long game. If you can find one, maybe you missed this deadline right now for the count for Greenville County, it's the month of September. You can apply for them up until September 30th. What they added to it, since we started screening, and we've had a ton more people applying, but the other side is now getting a ton more people to apply too. The Democrats are freaking out about it too. But now they threw in a requirement that you have to have attended one of those committee meetings.
You could probably get a list off of AI.
Yeah, I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But
Decisions that what are coming out.
Right,
They'll
right.
really-
But let me just, I mean, from a big picture perspective, realize from the top up or from the bottom, we usually focus on county boards and commissions. Each of the municipalities has boards and commissions too. So we have 6 cities here. Like last night with our meeting, we're getting people to focus on each of the 6 municipalities, digging in deep. We're working on finding partners that are sitting on those, those city councils that will be. We had one on the live stream last night that he's giving us the update for his particular city. We're going to get some inside people and some outside people for each of the municipalities. We're doing it with county council. We can talk to the county council people that we've got elected that kind of keep us in touch with things that are going on. We got a lot of people that go to it. There are state boards and commissions. Governor appoints, all that. There are a ton of open seats for that. Some of those get recommended, by the local people. So, there's some that are appointed by the delegation, the legislative delegation. So think municipals, county, legislative delegation, which are people, House and Senate, state boards and commissions. And I've never even researched it to get out there to figure what they're, but there's federal boards and commissions. Why do we have it in the state of South Carolina? We have it because everybody wants to point the finger. If I'm an elected official, I want to say, well, if somebody's complaining to me about something, I say, well, it's this other committee. They recommended it. They did all the research, and we had to do whatever they told us. There are planning commissions, and they set them up. They put the people on the planning commission, and then they, as county people who put the planning commission together, have taken their power away and said, well, we have to do whatever they tell us.
Oh, that's what happened with that Starbucks at Waters in Augusta.
Yeah.
We
So I
went
know that particular one.
we went to the meeting, we had 60 signatures. Went all along, and there's only 20 houses. So we went deep into next to where the country club is and got signatures from them and went and showed it all and proved the number of cars that would be going through there, what would happen with the traffic, the kids that are on blah, 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 blah. And got, 15 minutes of possible interest. And then the guy goes, well, we need to take a vote on this.
Was that city or county? Was that city?
It's city.
That was a
Because
city.
Burley's county and Waters is city.
See, that's why we need to get it after the ones that we
Yeah.
elect and hold them like
Exactly.
You know, like
This
these-
committee did it.
even like my church tries to get in and get these politicians to divert some money for homeless and stuff which is admirable. But I like to look at them because they want me to help and stuff like that. It's that's not what's going to change the whole thing. The way you're going, they don't care about you. If evangelists actually voted,
You really struggle.
we would win everything. Your vote, you're just you just take a picture of me and look what I did, stuff like that. Oh, I can't really do it, and then it's done. It's a non-starter.
I had to call a nice enough guy. I'm not bashing on him, but he's an elected official in this county. I didn't have his phone number. I had to go. I looked on his campaign page. No phone number. How could you be the elected official and no phone numbers out there? I knew where to find it, and I checked. But even when I called to leave him a voicemail, you have reached 864. It wasn't even this elected official's voice. I put my phone number everywhere, and I'm like, why would somebody not have that out there? I know you get a bunch of calls, and sometimes you get some crazies, and you get some weird
But
stuff.
that's part of
But
being
when
an
you
elected
put
official.
yourself in a public position, you have to understand.
You have to,
that's
yes.
part of the deal.
And I'm not even bashing this guy. He's helpful and all this guy. I'm just like, why do they want to? They want the position, they get the position, and then they disappear
Right.
because they are getting. People come and talk to them, and they would rather. It's easier to deal with people that aren't
The
pressured.
planners and the administrators that I worked with were more helpful than
We,
than anybody else.
we actually, a piece of our precinct is in the city, and they were trying to get it rezoned. The planning commission for the city denied the rezoning or whatever whatever they were trying to do, denied it. It then got to the city council. They reversed it. Never heard of them doing that, but they did it. But guess what? It's a piece of property that Bob Jones owned and wanted to sell.
Mhm. Well, of course.
Where did that, how in the heck did they get that through? I mean,
You know
the
how.
planning commission people actually denied it. And then all of a sudden, and there was all the rumors that Bob Jones needed money and they were going down the tubes and blah, blah, blah. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm like, that was what the rumor they were spreading. Were they spreading the rumor to get the city council people to let them sell it so they could get some cash? I don't know. I'm just like, how do people do all the work, get it stopped, and then all of a sudden, it gets flipped in the city, at the city level.
Well, and when they're not, when they're not being honest. It's like the guy that did it was like, well, we've done our research and we're going to need 250 cars. And I'm like, if you do the math, what they're paying for this land, and then they're going to build a building, you're going to build a building. You just said you're the ones going to build a building. Okay, so now you're at $2 million. 250 cars, you can't afford it. So you're dead wrong. There's going to be 1,250 cars coming through. Do you know what the traffic survey? We requested it to be the traffic thing before.
But I'll tell you what.
1,120 cars are what's going to go through that drive-through off of Gurley and Waters.
And have they built it already?
Oh yeah, it's almost finished.
And have you done? And I would implore you, a year from now, to have them redo the study. Hunt down everybody that sat there and told you it was 250. If they're employees, they need to get fired. If they, hunt them. We have to follow up.
They let this guy tell them, and then they just all kind of hook, line, and sinker and took it. And then he also lied because if you look at the plan, there was some landscaping, but there was no wall. And it's right beside the lady who's there at that time. Her son was a year and a half old, so ball goes down here, he's going to go for the ball, right? So we all said, no, that you can't do that. You've got to build a wall. You have to protect this child because that was going to be the end. It is going to be the end, and they're going to circle on. It's just going to be.
But don't just forget this.
No,
follow this up and hunt this.
So he got forced to do that. So he had to do the landscape, and then he had to build the wall. Okay, so the point was he had to build the wall all the way along his property line. Because the backyard of this house, the kid could go around. He didn't go all the way to the property line, where the trees start. Well, he stopped. He stopped short of that. And we all sent an email and said, no. And we had all the documents, this is what was said. This is what he was required to do. And he has stopped short. They made him finish it.
Good. Let me tell you,
you have to push hard on this stuff.
There's a big Speedway Drive behind us. They're putting in 160 townhomes. The question was raised to them: have you done a traffic impact study for Speedway Drive? This is an old South Carolina country road. It's only 20 feet wide. Okay. The new Fountain High School is at the beginning of the road. Okay. A lot of traffic. 160 townhomes, you can count on at least 240 cars. Okay. If you look at the physical dimensions and shape of Speedway Drive with a little creek and stuff down there, well, that developer to improve that road cost millions of dollars they couldn't afford to do. So they went after the fact and put it on the county or the state to handle it in reaction to the traffic that's there.
Which is you.
Because they would never develop that property if they had to put out another 10 million in road improvements. Right.
And that's where we have to get involved on the front end. Because a friend of mine that lived, an old classmate, a roommate of mine that lived in Simpsonville, they wanted to do a new development near him. The community didn't like it. He knew to what y'all did with Starbucks, they wasn't going to get anywhere because the politicians are the politicians. So what he did is he found the financial way. He found out that they were going to be required to do all this ADA compliant, blah, 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 the roads and all that kind of stuff. And when they realized that, they now had an engineer on their butt and they were going to have to do this and factored it into the cost of the development, they were like, we're not going to make our profit. So they were out. So we have to look for different ways to skin the cat.
With this group, there was one guy that was on the group that was making the decision pushed Mike to do this because he owned a Starbucks somewhere else and blah, 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 and how awful it was and whatnot. So he was that guy. And then there was an engineer that was on there, but was an engineer that they had hired to do the engineering study for this Starbucks. And then it was a gal that was with another type firm, like a design firm, site firm. They had hired her. So they were all bought.
Yes.
And there were like
It's
three.
all about the money.
Yeah, there
They're
were
all
three
bought.
that were not actually physically involved in the project. And those were the three that were against it, but the 7 were for it. Or 8, however many, I think it's 9 or 11 people.
Do you know what precinct you're in?
I mean, yeah,
Greenville 20.
Greenville 20.
20, okay. Right.
But it was amazing. I just sat there and go, this is all, golly, people, we can do better than that.
Well, and that's why we fight for what we do on the school choice thing. It dumbfounded me. I'm a tax attorney CPA. We did this in Georgia. We knew how to set up the program. They passed they advocated it for 10 years and milked probably $50 to $100 million out of this guy to sit there, for politicians and all that stuff and for their own little pockets over that 10-year period. But, we won the schools. Schools wanted to work with us. The parents were happy. We took care of the parents and the kids. The donors were happy. I never, ever thought that we would have to go out there and win the politicians that were getting the money, that we were cutting off of their money stream. And at this stage, it was a couple $1 million a year that they were paying. We can document it, do 501c3, tax returns, because those are all public. We can document that that's how much money was coming into the state from an out-of-state in the donor to sit there and advocate for school choice. And they were all milking this person, telling him, just like they tell schools now, oh, we got it all lined up. It didn't work out this year, so just one more year, we'll get it next year, and we got some things we miscalculated. But if we get this politician, we get a couple people elected, they lie and lie and lie to continue to line their pockets while kids are suffering. Schools in Georgia, when they passed the school choice bill in Georgia, somebody filed it in 2007. People looked at it. It was controlled by Republicans, and they passed it. That was it. There was never a advocacy industry in the state of Georgia for this type of program. It's now a $120 million program. It works great. They raise all the $120 million on January 1st of every year. It's a tax credit, and it's done. If they put it to $500 million, they probably can get it too. That's a different argument they have to deal with. But in South Carolina, it took them 10 plus years before they even passed a little $8 million experimental program. And then it worked good for 3 years when they let independent nonprofits get in there and raise the money. But then Chad Conley needed a job, so the government took it over and gave it to him, which he got $11,000 a month, and his buddy got, I was told more, but the guy with 10 kids that left his wife for a pro-life lobbyist out of Atlanta. It is just, but all they cared about was the money. Well, I know it's not y'all's fault. It's actually, if you read, it's interesting. Disney kind of left this piece out of the money that allegedly Josh Kimbrell, who's now running for governor, state senator out of hates us, so I don't want to tell him people. He said, of the $1 million or $1.5 million or almost $2 million that he apparently absconded with from his business partner, or he's being accused of that, $350,000 of it went to his political consultant in Lexington, which is Chad's other buddy, a guy named Dave Wilson. So I'm kind of like, it's all incestuous. It's all about the money, and these people don't give a darn about babies. They don't give a darn about this. We sent out an email about Charlie Kirk yesterday, and we got a lot of response about it and all that stuff. I did get one nasty gram from an individual. We're like, who is this person? What are they? Why are they saying this stuff? Saying that we were using Charlie Kirk's death for promote or complain about the fraud of reorg 2021, and I'm like, it didn't. What are you talking about? That was not certainly.
Well, that's a projection, because that's what that person.
Yeah. Well, then I looked it up, and it's Lena Smith's husband. Lena Smith is a big pro-lifer.
That's what they would.
I'm like, it was also his birthday on September 11th, so I think I just wrote back happy birthday. I really wanted to write more and say, it's about the babies. Really, you really. You guys are
about the children.
Didn't they participate
participate in some way in the real throw?
I don't know if she did. We voted her out. She was the one that was voted out because she showed up. She showed up at precinct reorg in 2021, wanting to be the EC again. She showed up, and our person had, I don't know, 15 people. She showed up, didn't even bring her husband. So she just showed up and expected they were just, going to elect her to be the EC again. I'm like, no, this is work. Oh, she wanted to get her resume that,
She did not have anyone, so the person that was running against her, from our side, he nominated her, knowing she didn't have votes, because she didn't have anyone to.
she said that, was anybody going to nominate me? He felt so bad, he nominated her.
Oh, no.
Then they had the vote, and it was 15-1. He felt so bad. I'm like, what are you feeling bad for? She didn't bring anybody. She's not out there fighting, and she's not trying to do stuff. But she wants to say, "Oh, look, I'm on some board for the pro-life movement, and you need to vote for me because I know people at the Poinsett Club." And I'm like, "No, I'm sorry, that's not the way it works." But you know what? That same woman, there was an article. It was in some national magazine about how our people came into the precinct reorg and were so rude and nasty and did all this type of stuff. And it's like, you didn't bring anybody. What do you mean that we were rude and nasty because we voted you out? You voted somebody else in, gave somebody else a chance to do this. It just, these people, all they care about is their social club and all that kind of stuff. They don't care about babies. They don't care about kids, K through 12 kids. They don't care about taxpayers, all that type of stuff. So it's my rant, but that's what I think, back to the Charlie Kirk thing, he's woken up a lot of people, and I think we ought to strive to, in fixing in with what Charlie talks about. I will tell people all the time, this sucks. Politics sucks. It's horrible. I'd rather be digging ditches. I'd rather be in a cube doing tax returns like I was at 30 years old or whatever. I'd rather be doing anything other than this. But somebody has to do it. Somebody has to get in there and fight this fight. And because I think the people that you see that are involved in it, they're not involved, for the cause. They're involved for their own devices. Sometimes it's money. Sometimes it's just they want to feel like they're important. They want to go to church and say, "Oh, I spoke to Lindsey Graham," or "I put a posted a picture of myself and Lindsey Graham," or "Look, I'm on the board of some pro-life thing," or something like that.
That's what we call dinner club Republic.
Yes.
All
Yes.
they just show up and their picture made with everybody's support.
Right. And Pamela Vet has gone around the state for 7 years now, taking pictures of every little business out there. I'm like, well, that's not doing you any good. If you wanted it to do good, you should have sat down with us 6 years ago and say, "Hey, I know you guys are sacrificing a lot. You're doing this. Why in the world are y'all doing this? What is the problem? What is going on?" I mean, we were excited about her because she's not a CPA, but she's an accountant. I'm like, our program is a tax credit scholarship. It has to do with numbers and accounting stuff, and it's pretty simple to figure out, especially for somebody who understands numbers. And I'm like, she didn't want to. She wanted to ingratiate herself with the people on the other side of us that hate us, and she thought that was going to win her more brownie points when she ran for governor. Well, guess what? It's been 6 years, and some of the people that she was ingratiating herself with, are now not quite as influenced as they might have used to be. So,
But she's still got her pictures.
she's got her pictures, and she can, for the next 20 years of her life, in retirement, Myrtle Beach, where she built some house. She can go live down there. She can start scrapbooking. So you can start having your scrapbook in your beach house.
Okay.
Horry County.
I look forward to that.
So,
I'll have my picture made with her.
all right. Yeah, put it right next to the picture with me. It's crazy. But
With AI, we could probably get all three of you in the same picture.
I was on my pictures with her the first year. I was invited to a private birthday party.
Yeah,
ooh,
you were her
Santa
buddy.
Claus.
I was.
They
So
were-
what happened to you?
She asked a hard question.
The access to the private birthday party was not what I was looking for. And I think, I mean, that's just interesting to look back because it popped up on my, like a memory thing, literally 2 days ago. It must have been her birthday, recently. I totally forgot about it. And it was a pretty picture. We were all dressed up. It was like a ladies' dinner for her birthday. And it was just a reminder that, like, how some people fall for that access, right? I had access. She listened to me. She talked to me. Again, every time I brought up this new choice, she would say, "Oh, thank you for keeping me in the loop. Just keep doing, like, keep me posted," right? So I did that for a while. But then after probably a year or two, I was like, okay, I've been keeping you posted. You know everything you need to know to act now, but the action never came. For some people, I think they would settle for, because I was never invited again, right? To that next or
Ask the hard question.
and I think for some people that was devastating, maybe, or I don't know, it's enough for them to feel like they're doing something because they're having these conversations.
A lot of the hanger-oners will never ask the hard question
Right.
because they want to continue to have that access. They like the feel of, oh, I know so-and-so, and they give me a hug.
Remember,
Okay,
where they were, remember?
It's disgusting. They're willing to let kids suffer, taxpayers suffer, all this stuff go down the drain. Babies get killed, all down the drain because they don't want to ask the hard question. Not to interrupt you, but I sat there and brought up this David Stumbo thing, and I said Stumbo, and I posted it somewhere else, it was somebody's thing or whatever. But I said Stumbo let Craig Caldwell, who was the former chair of Lexington County, who our person replaced in 23. We voted him out, and our person, Pamela Godwin, I think she was on here earlier. She sat there and got the bank account and said, got the bank records. She sweet talked some lady at the bank. If she was a chair, she should be able to get all the bank records from the account for the Lexington GOP, and started noticing there were payments to Title Max Georgia and payments to here and money going in. And she's like, what is all of this? This doesn't make any sense. So she started bringing it to the forefront, and she was like a dog on a bone, and she was not going to stop. And it turns out the guy embezzled, and it was indicted for it for $100,000 from the Lexington GOP and from the Rotary Club down there in Lexington. Stumbo, fortunately, because we knew David Pasco pushed it, had SLED investigate and all that kind of stuff, and Pasco pushed it even with SLED to get them to focus on and do it. Pasco being out of the first district, and he couldn't have, but the Lexington solicitor had to recuse himself because he was friends with his person, of course. So then they said they'd give it to David Stumbo. They did arrest the guy. I think he had an orange jumpsuit, but he was only in until a couple hours till they got him out. It was 8 years of jail sentence was what he was up for. They gave him 24 months, 2.5 years, 30 months of probation. Gave him 24 months probation and let him off. It's one thing if Ron goes and embezzles some money from his employer, and his employer says okay, and maybe we fired him and he's learned his lesson and move on, because he's got a family and all this. It's whatever. This is a public servant. This is a person who was in a position that was elected by the constituents. It's not, an elected, but we are part of the election code. This is somebody that went out there, and I'm like, that person needs to be at a higher standard. We need to make an example out of him, not sit there and do that. And because I brought that up, one of his supporters, which I've known for a long time, she starts chastising me, saying that she's doing research into it, but I needed to understand that he was not going to be able to pay the money back unless he was out of jail and could work to pay the money back. I'm like, what? I'm like, that's what the problem is? Me pointing it out but guess what? They're letting off that the people that are doing elected, their buddies, I mean, this guy's buddies with Alan Wilson and all that stuff. They're all out of Lexington and the Lexington Mafia. They're doing the same damn thing with pedophiles.
Yep.
And because that is what's coming out with Alan Wilson.
Yep.
And I had people in those positions years ago tell me, hey, you need to look at this. You need to look at this. You need to look at this. You know, that were law enforcement that said, you know, Alan Wilson's not prosecuting these people. I know personally Alan Wilson was not prosecuting Chad Conley, who, you know, I believe embezzled money from the school choice program. And it was investigated. The numbers are all there. Money's gone. They spent more than they were supposed to spend on administrative fees, and it went into Chad's pocket and Dave Wilson's pocket. But professional prosecutors in Alan Wilson's office said, well, Chad Conley didn't have the necessary criminal intent to embezzle. I'm like, what's the necessary criminal intent?
He stole the money.
Doing it.
He was too stupid to know he was stealing the money. I'm like, okay, I can prove to you he knew because we were out here screaming it all day long, saying, because we had people that were on that board telling us that Chad was how much he was getting paid. I'm like, if he's getting paid that much, the administrative fee, you know, because they dumped it down to 2% because they didn't like us, and then I'm like 2%. They're spending way over 2%. Even if they raised the entire amount, what they were spending was over the 2%. We were screaming it. He had knowledge. He was the executive director. And from an IRS perspective, an executive director is a person of position that is deemed knowledge of these types of things. It's the code. Just read it. So but then again, there's a picture of Chad and Alan Wilson on the walls of his office.
When they run for governor, all the things he did say, like, most criminal tend to say, like, sounds like a Comey thing or a Hillary thing, you know, and just use it again, like, didn't prosecute this, didn't prosecute, and he wants to be the top person.
That's the options.
Like, just, and make it hilarious, just like so funny that you would be dumb to vote.
Believe Nancy is calling it out.
I mean, not to be petty, I don't care, but we wrote him because I'm blocked from the official Wilson's account as Attorney General, which is now against the law. Like you can
Right, because you know that
you can go to ACO.
I don't know who blocked her, but somebody in the Alan Wilson's
But
campaign
we
blocked her.
wrote them because
I wrote it down.
you're supposed to contact them and then you can actually sue them. But
They probably thought because she wasn't a citizen before, that, oh, it's okay to block citizens.
we wrote
because
a
you're
few
not a
months
constituent.
ago, like, by the way, she's blocked,
Can
could
you
be
not
a
get it?
mistake.
Did you still know?
Again, whatever, it's a silly little thing, but I never, or like, say.
But Alan Wilson was the type of person we would talk to him. We'd try to, all that kind of stuff. His father, he's married to a Polish
I
girl.
was his second favorite Polish girl. Every time he saw me, he would say, "Oh, here's my second favorite Polish girl."
We sat at our Charleston meeting, with
Yes.
all that corruption going on his telephone and did nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
We called him out on it, somebody walked over and said, "Are you gonna do anything about this crap?" And he's like,
Oh,
"Oh,
what? Who went off my phone?
that's exactly what happened."
One of our delegates to the state convention went up to Pamela and Bev and said, "Are you gonna do anything about this?"
Yeah.
And she goes, "Oh, I don't. What do you mean? I don't really understand what's going on." I'm like, you don't understand the corruption that is going on that stage up there because you've heard us screaming about it for 4 years.
Yeah.
You do not need to be governor of the state.
That's right.
And I'm saying that about
You're either
her.
too stupid, not motivated, or bought and paid for.
Right. But I mean, we're applying that all over the place. And if you look at what people say, a Mark Lynch should be more in line with what we believe and all that kind of stuff. Mark, his personal animosity to us would probably, his group has now taken up school choice as one of their issues, and they oppose school choice. So I'm kind of like, why? I mean, they oppose our version. They think everything's the UN agenda. I've literally been accused of pushing the UN agenda on education.
That's the must.
Well,
The what?
must be because you're married to a European.
Oh, that makes sense now.
You got enough? Okay.
The version.
The virtue.
Oh,
Elon
Elon Musk. It's Musk. I'm like, Elon Musk.
Musk is awesome.
Not to worry about it. At least it's just a second.
Have to raise them.
Okay, we're gonna get an update from Ray on that.
Next week
Um,
is Constitution.
Oh, it is next week.
Yeah.
Yes, next week is
I gotta make
Constitution
an
Week.
announcement. And then Ray, it's
And
Ray
then we'll
Shaw.
give a little bit of update of what we did last night on the legislative committee. So I don't know if anybody here wanted to give that update. Frank's not here, so we were trying to get somebody else to volunteer for the update on what we did. But let's do the pro-life committee.
Thank you.
Speak loud.
All right, last Friday I had to cut out early to talk to Frank
That's
Farmer.
right. What we're trying to do is make Greenville County a pro-life sanctuary county.
Yes,
So go ahead.
I typically say blue logs. I think a lot of people, and whether you call it blue log sanctuary, I don't care. I call it blue logs. I think that resonates with more people. And there's also some Second Amendment issues. Didn't want to confuse with
Second or first?
I thought it was maybe I'm wrong.
Okay.
But anyway, that sanctuary is also being used in another, simultaneously being used for another movement. So whatever. Bottom line is I want to outlaw abortion in this county. I didn't get a firm answer, but I did feel comfortable talking to the attorney, the county attorney. He actually presented me the actual ordinance on Greenville County's position, which I have a copy of. If you go online, you get a third party's interpretation of it. Actually, the actual ordinance is actually even stronger than the what you'll find online. And if anyone's curious, I have copies of them. I can show you what I mean. His concern is that, according to him, the more detailed the law is at the state level, the less authority counties and municipalities would have to make it stronger. Which I understand where he's coming from. I don't necessarily know I agree with it, but ultimately it's not my decision. It's what a judge would. It's how a judge would rule on it. That's the one that really matters. And he's trying to tell me how a judge might look at it. He did promise to get back with me within 2 or 3 weeks. So possibly either 2 or 3 weeks from today, I can give you an update on how that goes. But
This is the offense that you're talking about.
Yeah.
We're trying to take offense on some of these issues.
But he said, of course, he can't give a yes or no answer. He can just tell us, if it's likely or unlikely. But the bottom line is, Greenville County is a pro-life county. We're just abiding by what formerly was the federal regulation under Roe versus Wade, and now under the state laws that currently exist. And he actually did thank me because when this ordinance was signed, our laws were much more liberal in allowing abortion than they are today. So he did thank me, saying that this is something that the council is going to have to address. They're going to have to make it temporary. But again, hopefully in 2 or 3 weeks.
That's when you know you're in trouble. They're thanking you for bringing it to their
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the backward compliments.
Yes.
Yeah.
But anyway, it'll get attention one way or the other. But hopefully in 2 or 3 weeks, I'll have his answer on what he would recommend to the council as far as this goes.
And just to add on to that, we've got a training that's going to be on November 15th. It's a Saturday. It's a full day training. We'll I think, wake up a lot of people about these types of things and how to fight this battle. So some of the faculty training the Young Americans for Liberty. So I've taken the training multiple times, and it's good stuff. So if you really want to know the true nature of politics and to wake up to the fact that they will lie to you constantly, they will make you feel good. They will say, "Oh, well, why don't we'll put you on a study committee for this," all that kind of stuff.
That's a favorite.
That's a favorite. But we got to move much faster, and we got to realize the games they're playing.
Right.
That's how we've learned the lessons.
Yeah.
Some of it.
Right. I mean, there was things I could have said. I didn't think it was appropriate to say it then. I want to hear what he comes back with before I add too much to it. Cash's bill. I talked about this before. On the 1st of October, S323 will be up for public debate at 9:30 for the public. They'll have professional testimony being on, I think it's 1 o'clock later that day. This was put out just a few days ago. It has really nothing to do with Cash. If you would read through it, it really has nothing to do with Cash's bill. There's nothing in any of the bills that say it's punishable by 30 years behind bars in any of the three
And
bills.
when is it now?
October 1st. Again, going on the offense, I know for a fact that there's significant changes. I have a friend who has a friend with cash, and he told me that there's things he can't talk about, but he did tell me that they're going to take exceptions for rape, incest, and fatal fetal anomaly out of the bill, which is currently there. I went to the SC government website this morning before I came here. There has been no update. The dates on the bill that were there this morning are the same as the printout I have. Actually, it's going to be in this folder right here. I brought it with me, but I have a printout of the bill that was current when I gave my talk several months ago. The dates haven't changed, so officially there's nothing's changed to the bill. This is kind of disheartening because for me to go give testimony, I'd like to know exactly what it is I'm getting testimony for. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. Carrie contacted Cash this morning with pictures on what they're saying about the bill right now. See if we can't get some answers that way. So that's two big things. Talked about the resolution. Frank's been working with Carrie and myself on that. He's given us we provided him information. He came back with the draft. We commented on it. So we've been working with him on getting the resolution.
Frank Farmer?
Yes.
Okay.
Frank
Gunther. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, there's too many Franks there.
Too many Franks, too many Rays, too many Rons.
Yeah, Frank Farmer's the one who got me in touch with the county attorney.
Okay. All right. Then.
So yeah, sorry about the confusion. Going to be relatively short today. Let's see. Bridget Van Means, we had the talk last Monday. It went really well. She's definitely got a woman with high energy, a lot of ambition. She's able to convince people to fund her for her projects and her projects work. Perhaps the most exciting thing right now is her belief is that the brick and mortar is going away, which I'm seeing that myself. Just a couple months ago, the clinic's already gone from 6 days a week to 4. Just a month ago, they were routinely pulling in about 20 people every morning. For the last 3 weeks, I don't think they've ever topped 16. They've been getting 13 to 16. So her belief is that the digital age is going to wipe out the brick and mortars. She's responding accordingly. She's developing a program that whenever a girl were to type about some, abortion information, that they'll send advertisements to there to let her know that there are alternatives to abortion. So she's taking the lead on that. She's expecting, I think she said the prototype is going to launch in November, but shortly it should encompass the whole country. So that was very heartening to hear that. It was a very good talk. And as far as our upcoming events next month, on the 20th is Mark Lynch. We'll be having our talk. I was hoping to work with Lisa Marie for us to have a meeting beforehand, but of course the news about Charlie kind of ruined all that. So I'll be reaching out to her to work on that. In November, we've got Lisa Van Riper. She's one of the top executives in South Carolina Citizens for Life, which is the largest pro-lobby group in the state. They're affiliated with National Right for Life, which is part of what Bridget Van Means works with. Anyway, she's going to be giving a talk telling us a lot about them. I have a gentleman from Personhood been reaching out to me. I offered him to come to my meeting this month on the 22nd to give a 20-minute talk, and told him that if he's interested, this year's book, next year we possibly even give him a whole educational outreach as well. And that summarizes what I have right now.
And what we're trying to do, because Greenville alone cannot win any battle by itself, really. So what we're trying to do is network with other counties and build a true coalition of people who actually do want to accomplish something, as opposed to these, the nice organizations that have been out there that created the abortion destination state that we were, that are more interested in the gala they do once a year as opposed to actually, pushing the agenda a little harder. So that's what we're trying to do with more people. So that's why we'll reach out more. And Ray's done a good job of building that network that we're building across the state. So, which is the same thing we're doing in all the areas, and same thing we're doing, with the America First movement and the MAGA movement. That's what it's going to take. It's not, we can win Greenville like we did in 21, and we can hold it in 23, and we can hold it in 25. But it's not just us. We need, we need the whole state. So Ron's going to update us on the Constitution Week.
I just want to break the tension here. So some of it we do fun, right?
Yes.
1/3 of our time is supposed to be fun.
Yes. And there's some leftover Olga's birthday cake in there from last week, so that's fun.
Yeah, and I.
That means it's fun.
I get on the fun side at times.
You do, yeah.
And mine this next week is Constitution Day, is next
18th,
Wednesday,
right?
17th.
17?
And then right following that, we're gonna have our Constitution classes start in 6 weeks. And it's gonna be fun. I got a little preview. They've updated the videos. You have a picture of Benjamin Franklin portrait, and he gets morphed into a real Benjamin Franklin, and he tells you what he said. And that's very good. Very good time. And I need help, and that's why I'm just basically here. We're expecting a good crowd. We got people registered.
Starts Saturday the 20th, just so everybody's clear. Saturday the 20th, we have the American Legion, the one downtown, post 3, downstairs. I think.
And it is on our website now.
Yeah, it's on the website. You can go to greenvillegop.com/events. But this will be probably the last time they'll be hosted down there because they're tearing the post down. Because
And if a chance afterwards, fun again, they have the War Museum. So after the class, you can take your teenage or bring your grandson, like I would, let him to the War Museum. It's really cool.
so 10 o'clock on Saturdays for 6
I'm
weeks.
going to ask you to come early, and I'll have coffee and pastries there for you to see, because there's videos running prior to the class.
Oh, yeah, okay, good.
And so you get more information, visit a little bit. It'll be fun, exciting. It's not like the class, okay? You're not in there taking notes. In fact, they go so fast you can't take notes. Yeah, it's just more
Just suck it in.
listening and then sharing with each other your experiences.
You don't do a
And
test
we'll
at
get
the
you
end.
out for the football games. If anybody's got excuses, oh, it's just football Saturday, we're gonna get you out there. Okay? It's from 10 to 11:30, and be there at 9:30 if you want the coffee and pastries. I want you to register. You can come without registering. You don't have to come to every one and make sense out of it. But if you register, they're gonna send you a link to that.
So if you
And,
miss one, they'll send you a
they'll
link
send you
which
a
has the video.
all that,
You can
so
watch
you don't
later.
get lost at all. And you'll be surprised. You go to that first one, and that's what I want you to do. You won't want to miss.
It's tailored to veterans, but anybody can come and bring kids too. I think it's
That's
a good idea.
American Legion Post, like you said.
Post 3 on October 20th.
September.
Next Saturday. September.
Next Saturday.
20th, October 25th.
Yes.
6 weeks. And why I'm asking for help is we got plenty of parking there, but you got to find it. And their parking lot is in an alley and behind the building. I need help.
Just a couple people out there.
Personally, for the first 2 weeks, just to direct people and maybe greet them at the door and pour them a cup of coffee, that kind of thing. So anybody can volunteer, and you don't have to be a veteran to come.
But you're going to do a color guard.
We're gonna do a color.
The first.
That's part of that. They volunteered.
You did.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And there's a guy that does it at the grave sites and all this stuff. They get called.
Did it at our convention.
At our convention, they came up, and they're gonna open it up with color guard ceremony. 5 minutes of that, but it's gonna be meaningful.
And I saw you send an email telling Bill Frady he had to be there. Or was that at?
I don't know where that's at. Yeah.
I think he likes sleeping out on Saturdays.
Yeah, I guess so. I've heard that he's actually a member of that.
He is a member of Post 3, yes.
That's Post 3, so. And we were on the radio, and I already asked for a second appearing. Okay. But this is part of the fun, but it's educational because what I found out, none of our councilmen
Yes.
been elected have ever taken anything about the Constitution. They're running our government, and they don't know that our government is limited government via the Constitution.
Right.
The supreme law for them.
Supreme law of the land, nobody follows it. Courts make rulings on it. And I saw that you get these little package pamphlets, that's the Constitution of the United States, just a few pages. When I went to the State House and we were talking about the state taking back their power from the federal government and all that, they brought out the Constitution of the United States. It was that thing.
It's called the annotated.
And it is the Constitution. Goes along with court rulings, all the things, all the way they changed it.
It's based off all the precedents that have been set by the court. And it's last time I saw it was 1,140 pages or something like that.
So it doesn't fit in your pocket.
No.
No.
On the same subject, real quick.
Yes.
Is anybody in this area working with the 917 Society?
917.
They're based out of Nashville. Joni Bryan, the RYAN. They do a program every year where they distribute that you were doing, I think it ended up going to 4 million this year. They distribute pocket constitutions to 8th graders all across the country because under the law that they're supposed to be taught civics. I've got a box with 100 in the trunk of my car. I'm stopping by my charter school and dropping them on my way back home today.
Oh.
Wow.
But the people who have pushed it in North Carolina with Moms for Liberty. Of course, we have real Moms for Liberty. At least what I've been told.
Okay.
So,
But yeah, it's
Nothing is what it seems in politics. The same group can be good one place, bad in another place. It's really about the people. So
But if you look up the 917 Society,
917society.org.
Yep.
I'm seeing it. So interesting. That's
and she just went out and did this on her own. I mean, it started with like I think her local junior high or middle school, and now it's going to like I think they went up to 3 million this year, maybe 12.
that's great. It's
Let's
fantastic.
see all their Constitution class. We got enough here to make a big group.
Yeah, I think it'll be a lot of fun, and we're excited about it. And what we want to do is kind of get it going with some of the things that we're doing. It's Patriot Academy, and they do some good work with that. And they have a series of other classes that they can teach, and we can get on board and do that. But we want to be able to do it in other counties too, and try to use this as a way to recruit, find other people, all that kind of good stuff. So and learn about the Constitution.
Where the Constitution was written at James Madison's house last week.
You were.
Yeah.
You have bed breakfast there, Airbnb there too.
There's no Airbnb, but you can go tour James Madison.
Really?
We did Monticello and James Madison
Yes.
all together for my husband's birthday. So
Good.
I'm
Wow.
really excited to get in that room
Wow.
with a view.
It
If you'd
is.
like to put on Constitution classes, we have people interested, I'll go down there and help you. You just give me a call, get my phone number.
Yeah.
Make
Yeah, I
contact.
know there are some groups down there doing stuff. I could ask someone if you want to give me the name, your name.
Yes, I would like. it.
I'll connect with someone that's done some of that stuff in the past.
Ron just gave his wife a new Cadillac. I'm sure she'll let him.
Yeah,
She'll let him borrow it to drive to Charleston.
there you go.
No, she won't. My wife is, yeah. I'm good with that.
Sorry to put you on the spot. But you're a good husband. Nice Cadillac, yes, sir.
If I could,
She's a good wife.
I once again would like to give a kickoff
Please.
to the Constitution by stating the preamble.
Okay.
Look at each word. This Constitution was put together by, I think, 2/3 of the people were pastors or trained in theology. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility,
Yeah.
We have a doorbell?
Apparently.
How was Ron's phone?
Oh.
Sorry, George. Come in.
This is George and Martha from Washington. So,
ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. How important is that document? None of us will ever be saying, our predecessors or our descendants be saying the Pledge of Allegiance without that document. And to mention the failure of our current school day, our school systems, I learned that in the 5th grade.
Yes.
We have to bring that back to our schools.
They've lost it. They really have lost it. It's part of my generation maybe got a taste of it, but to speak to people of a little bit older than me that actually took Robert's Rules of Order in high school and stuff like that, it's incredible. That's totally missing. Yes.
David and I wrote a letter to Ellen Weaver asking what not Greenville, all of South Carolina schools are going to do about Constitution Day. And, we did some other things, but yeah, they don't learn about this. But we never start back.
She doesn't want anybody knowing about the Constitution.
The state law, they do it one day a year. Yep. And they don't. One day.
Exactly.
That day's coming up.
Exactly.
And we've seen that with the universities and stuff. They don't care. The law says this, and they just ignore it. So we've got a couple events. They've got that on the 20th. I'm not going to be there, but Olga will be there. If you guys were doing there's a candidate school in Columbia we're going to. We do have a lot of elections coming up, so we're going to be busy with that. City of Greenville, Mike Kilgore. We got a couple other municipal stuff. And we got these special elections for House District 21, replacing Bobby Cox. And October 21st is October 21st is Tuesday is their election. But remember, we got 2 weeks of early voting before, so there's going to be a big push for that. On October 20th, early voting starts for the November election. So we are going to be very focused on getting out early vote. The only problem with early voting in Greenville is the only place to early vote is McAllister Square, which is a pain for some people to get to.
Yeah.
Imagine you live in Town Inn, you're going to drive to McAllister Square to early vote. It's going to be tough to motivate to do that. I wish that we had 2 or 3 different locations. We should have 3 locations in the state, in the county. But this is an off-year election, so that's why he only has 1. So we'll figure that out. But the city race, we got 2 races in the city, and if we flip one of them, 2 competitive races, if we flip just one of them, we will turn the city of Greenville back to a Republican, because it is a partisan race over there. They went Democrat in November of 2019 to the prior administration to us. So it's going to be nice if we can get that thing flipped back. So that'd be great. We got Christmas party December 1st. We were going to do it just with Spartanburg. We'll be at the Cannon Center in Greer. Now some of the other counties that we work with, American First counties up here, will make more of an upstate Christmas party, just to include more people on the American First side, because our people do control Anderson, Oconee, Pickens, Greenville, Spartanburg, York.
So it's gonna be a MAGA Christmas
It's going to be a massive Christmas party. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Is it
I want to
12:21?
add for tonight, this is not by one group. I'm getting information from different people. There is a vigil tonight in honor of Charlie Kirk at the Unity Park. It's at 7 p.m. It will be held Unity Park near the large Unity sign at the front of the park. It says "Bring American Flags."
Who's sponsoring?
I saw it in some media pages, so I don't think it's like one group, but we had a lot of people that were interested, but no one pulled the trigger to do it. So this is, in my opinion, great. If you're looking for a place to go, this is a truly community effort. I'm not aware it's just one group.
So 7 p.m. at Unity Park.
I did the Unity sign.
Right. And they're doing one in Charleston, I think, down at, is there one on the bridge? Oh, it's up in Old Citadel. What is it?
I think I saw one at Real Bank Park and one on the bridge.
Okay.
I've confirmed times and days.
Okay, that's okay. Yeah, I thought it was a big Citadel. Okay. Oh yeah, we're way over time. So
Remember brownforency.com?
brownforency.com with the number 4 or
Either one, because of what,
genius.
I have the number 4, the letter MOR, or the letter MOUR, all go to the website.
Because you
But
never
some
know.
confuse people.
And there's gonna be a lot
You
more.
guys are meeting with Hobart Lewis this week in regards to our participation with ICE, and we want to hopefully encourage him to get the full participation, level 3, task force level. And I think we want that out of Greenville stuff.
Why don't you give an overview on the letters that we talked about last night that are going out?
We have multiple different types of letters. We're sending some stuff out to the 5 different the governor's candidates in regards to their position on school choice. Got a little checkbox, I will or I won't, and then if they want to write some details on that. We also are sending out a letter to 12 of the individuals, elected officials, and 1 former elected official that have endorsed Diane Mitchell for House District 21. And we're calling out and reminding them of the fact that she was the 3rd vice chair of the Greenville County Republican Party and was in charge of reorg in 2021 when we had the reorg fraud. So if she's announcing she's running for this to fight corruption, she is the corruption.
Okay.
So they
That was
endorse.
way before our time, so I don't know what that is.
This is okay. Yeah, and we have a link to it. It's an article. Maybe we will do something more. I want to get them to answer us about why they're endorsing somebody who was the actual fraud.
No, you
So
you said it, and it said, ask me if you have any questions, and I don't know, that was way before.
yeah,
I forgot.
they harvested ballots. They did everything. There was a written report about it done by a committee that none of our people were on. It was the committee that was 100% against us. It was the state party. It made national news. It was a big deal. So, yes.
I have a question about ICE. It was brought to my attention that some Afghans who came here when we pulled out of Afghanistan are being sent back. Do we have any visibility on that?
Because
they were actually, I don't know about the legal mumbo jumbo.
Translators maybe or something. Yeah.
But they were basically brought here because we knew what was going to happen to them if they stayed behind. So
I mean, I've seen people advocating for them and they've made movies about it and stuff like that. I don't know any details, but if you hear it, I mean, if somebody's working on it, that's a project, I mean, we would obviously support that. But
Or possible, just ask, maybe, he could say a word or two, is that what you're asking?
well, man, I just want to know if this is true. I've heard it that we're
Okay.
sending Afghans back to Afghanistan, even though they were specifically brought here. to say-
I heard some of that was out there that Trump had stopped it. I've heard all kinds of things, but it's one of those things you don't know the facts. If somebody knows them, let us know, or wants to. We support those types fighting those types of battles, but we can't. I have a lot of people that call us up and say, "Oh, I need you to do this." I'm like, "See a need, fill a need. We will support you, but we're not taking up everybody's cause because we don't have the bandwidth at the time."
A lot of the Afghans that came in that initial blow that should never have brought this country started.
That's true.
I was gonna say, there's a lot of layers to this. that we
Yeah,
don't
right.
know anything about.
They're finding now that a real.
Yes.
All right, it's 1:25. So we have a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion second.
Second.
Non-debatable, we are adjourned. We'll see you next Friday.
What?
Not
No
sooner.
discussion?
What's going on?
No discussion?
No discussion. There, actually, just so you know, a motion to adjourn is non-debatable
Okay.
for Robert's rule. So you actually cannot debate it. You just take a vote. It's a trick that the other side uses against us. You learn some Robert's rules today.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not trying to make other people.